My name is Reuben Keehan. I'm Curator of Contemporary Asian Art here at QAGOMA. I'm delighted to be joined today by one of the artists from APT, Chong Kim Chiew, who's joining us today from Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. And he's showing not one but two different bodies of work in the exhibition. Kim Chiew, before we start talking about the individual works in the show, I'm very interested in your practice as a whole, in particular, something that you've said in the past about making attitude at the center of your practice. Would you be able to tell us a little bit more about that?
对哈，锦超，欢迎哈，你今天你的作品哈来参与我们的这个展览，而且不只是一系列的作品，而是2个系列的作品哈。那么首先呢，我想了解一下呢，就是您作为一个艺术家哈，您的创作的过程中哈，您尤其是会加入一种就是你所说的态度哈，作为你创作的中心哈，你能不能跟我们介绍一下您的这个创作的这些情况呢？
好的，这个问题呢，让我先回到小时候我出生在一个中药店家里面呢是一个复合式的空间店的前半段呢是爸爸开的中药店，店的后半段呢是家里的生活空间。
I think we have to go back to my childhood. I was born in a Chinese medicine practitioner family, and we had a family shop. It's sort of a hybrid where the front section of the house was my dad's Chinese medicine store, and our living area was at the back.
我在这个店里面呢，大概生活了20年左右我家里面呢，店里面呢有非常非常多的中药店在店里面有一个很大的墙面抽屉，里面装满了各式不同的中药。
And I have been living in that house with the Chinese medicine shop for about 20 years. And I still remember that there were a lot of different types of Chinese medicines in the, rows of drawers erected against a wall of the shop.
在我小时候呢，当爸爸把这个店铺已经关门之后呢，晚上我会偷偷的打开这些神秘的箱子就是这些无数的数量的中药抽屉呢，我去发现它一些有趣的事物其中有一些呢是有动物的，有植物的，有矿物质的甚至有一些是动物的排泄物
As a kid, after my dad closed the shop at night, I used to sneak into the shop at night and open up all those, hundreds of drawers and trying to discover what were in them. And they were very interesting. They were like animal parts or plant materials, minerals, excrements from animals.
在这些抽屉里面有一些是有毒的让我从小就对这个中药的体制里面呢，毒和药这2个概念是它不冲突的，它们可以同时并存在一个中药的体系里面。这个概念影响我想起来会影响我后来创作上蛮深的
In those little drawers, there are also materials that are poisonous. And so in my kid's mind, I started to have this concept that poisons does not sort of conflict with medicine. The two can coexist together in Chinese medicine. I think that idea actually has impacted my practice a lot thinking back.
这使我在创作上的时候呢，对待材料或者对待不同事物的时候呢没有一个绝对的概念毒也可以成为药。
Therefore, in my practice, I do not have an absolute concept of how material needs to be used in a certain way. Poison can also be medicine. It just depends on how you use it.
另外一个就是在我的学习过程里面我在马来西亚艺术学院学习了3年之后呢，我又到中国广州学习了4年这整整的7年，我都是学习了学院的一些方法但这些方法呢或者说风格呢，或者说材料上呢，对我后来的创作呢，也不能满足我了。
And also during my journey of study to become an artist, I studied 3 years in the Malaysia Institution of Arts. And I also then went on to Guangzhou in China to study in Guangzhou Academy of Arts for 4 years. So those methodologies or styles or materials that I have learned over those 7 years in those institutions have equipped me to do things, but they cannot satisfy all my creation needs.
后来呢，我又受到了一些观念艺术的影响达主义的影响甚至有点冲突的表现主义影响下呢，我开始呢就思考和发展出用不同的方式对待不同的展览做出回应。
Then I also come across different ways of creation, such as Dadaism and different conceptualizations and expressionists and so on that may have conflicting ideas in the creation. And that have helped me to develop different approaches according to different exhibitions.
然后呢，有一部分呢是我对艺术体制或者展览体制的一种回应我对待事物的态度呢，会决定我对作品的判断。
Part of it is my reaction towards arts and exhibitions. My attitude towards things then form a part of my judgment when it comes to arts and creation.
另外呢，也包括了想分享一下这个移动的概念艺术呢，对艺术家来说呢是一个动词但对我来说呢，它不只是艺术家的一个行动，它也包括艺术家自己移动不同的视角来观看这个世界。
In addition, I also would like to share a more mobile perspective of the word because for an artist, an art is a verb, but for me, it's not just a verb or an action. It is also how you change your angles of looking at the word.
最后呢我大概分享一下我在2013年的时候呢。我的创作呢有一个变化，就是我开始以分身来参加展览、联展。
分身这个景超澄清一下，就是您指的是
用一个新的名字或者叫做 doppelganger
就是2个身份另外一个新的身份
对对。
谢谢。And also, last but not least, I also started to change in the way I share things. In 2013, I started to participate in different exhibitions or series of exhibitions with another identity.
我用分身来参加不同的联展，但也包括了参与自己的个展，就是个展里面呢有不同的名字，但都是我的分身展览里面呢可以说去中心化，也可以说呢有多个中心。
So I use the different identities to take part in series of exhibition or a exhibition involving a lot of artists, but also I use that for my individual exhibitions too. So I can have different identities for all these general or individual exhibitions. And in a way that it is being decentralized, like I can have multiple focuses.
这个分身的这个细节呢，我想要待会有更多时间再继续啊。
And if we have more time later in this session, I would like to go into more details in terms of these different identities that are used.
I'm really interested in thinking about the way that all these different ideas that you've mentioned, your approaches to making art feed into the work that's on in APT. The first, which I think is probably one of your best known bodies of work, Boundary Fluidity, which is these fantastic kind of scrambled maps of Malaysia and the areas around it that are painted directly on tarpaulin. We're showing a very large number of these. They seem to be a really interesting application of your attitude, not just to the subject matter, but also to the material by painting on something that has this normal everyday use.
对哈，就是您的这个很有趣哈，您刚才讲的这些不同的这些想法哈，而且呢，您的这一些创作的方式呢，也好像跟我们这 APT 的这个展览哈，非常的吻合哈。那么在您的作品里面呢，这个最有名的那就是关于这个流动性的这一个边界哈，这个 boundary of fluidity 哈，然后你在这一个作品里面就是把马来西亚的这个地跟周边这些国家的这个地图哈，把它这个在上面哈，再附加了重叠了你的这个创作哈，然后呢，我们看到了很多你这类型的作品哈，然后你上面呢也表现了您所说的这个态度的这个您的这个特点哈，而且呢，不只是您的这个主题很特别，而且您在里面所用的一些材料也都是我们常用的一些材料哈，非常的有趣。
在这边我可以稍微跟大家分享一下，这件Boundary Fluidity 的这件作品呢，它是一个尺寸可大可小的装置作品。它像有弹性的一样而在这次 Asia Pacific Triennial 里展出呢，是目前我这个版本里面尺寸最大的。
I would like to share with you about the Boundary of Fluidity series. I would like to mention that it's actually a work that can be scaled up or down. It's such an installation art that is flexible. So when I come to your exhibition this time, I have actually used the biggest version.
这件作品当初在我在07年开始就开始绘制了第一张的这个防水布地图。
Yes, and also I started drawing my first canvas map in 2007.
这个为了呼应主题呢，我把这个绘制地图的这个绘画方式呢，我把它描绘在这个防水布。我的防水布呢，是日常生活里面呢，小贩流动小贩或者一些摊位常用的防水布。它一面是有橘色的，一面是有蓝色的。我把绘画的部分呢，描绘在橘色里面，然后我又保留外面的蓝色部分。
And just responding to the theme of the exhibition, I try to use day-to-day material to do my drawings on, and the canvas I have used is actually one that is used very often by hawker stores. It's one side is orange and the other side is blue. So I've chosen to draw on the orange side. And the external side, which is the blue side, is still maintained.
这个回应了这个主题流动因为这样子的展示方式呢，观众看到有一面呢是绘画的，也可以说是 艺术的，有一面呢保留物件原来的蓝色，它又代表着日常生活物件。
In terms of reflecting the theme of my work, which is Boundary of Fluidity, I would like the audience to see that on one side of the canvas it is my drawing, which is the art part of it, and on the other side I kept the blue canvas as what it would appear to people in daily life when they look at the canvas of a hawker store.
在展览厅里面呢，这些防水布呢，有时候是打开悬挂在天花板或者墙壁有时候呢，它会皱褶或者把它摆放在地上，所以它有时候像一张绘画的作品，有时候呢，它又很像一个软雕塑soft sculpture 这样子的一体两面的这样子一个状态。
您刚才说有时候是像软雕塑哈，如果是在这个墙上或者挂在屋顶上，那个就是像一个什么作品？我刚才没有听清楚。
像一个painting， 就是一个绘画的作品。
好的。Yeah, sorry, Reuben. I was just clarifying with Kim Chiew. In the exhibition hall, if you can either open up the canvas and put it on the roof, or you can put it against a wall, which would make it look more like a painting. But you can also scramble them up and put it on the floor, and that would make it look like a soft sculpture.
在绘制这些地图的时候呢，我认为地图是有很多讯息的然后我收集不同的马来西亚和东南亚的地图，有一些东南亚地图，包括二战时期日本侵略马来亚的那个地图，或者马来亚共产党的军队分布图，还有一些交通地图。
In terms of the drawing of the maps, my idea is that maps contain a lot of information, and I have collected a lot of different maps of Malaysia as well as other Southeastern Asian countries. I have the map of the areas of Malaya that was occupied by the Japanese during the Second World War. I also have the Communist Army distribution map, as well as some transport maps.
这些地图呢，我在用这个麦克笔写在这个防水布上面，然后我又用颜料亚克力颜料呢，又不断的涂改呢，有时候是重叠呢，反反复复的编成一幅没有用途的地图。
And with the map, I use a micro pen to draw on the canvas, and I also use acrylic. Yeah, acrylic paints to paint on it, so that these different layers overlap with one another. At the end, we end up with a map that is completely useless.
另外呢，这个Boundary Fluidity 的其中一部分呢，它包括了这个录像的作品这个录像的作品是我把这个防水布呢 tarpaulin 呢卷起来，带到不同的场域户外去进行拍摄。
And I just need to clarify. I think I have been using the word canvas. I think the right term, Kim Chiew has helped me with that, is tarpaulina. So as part of the Boundary of Fluidity exhibition, I have included some videos, these which were taken at various venues, with the background of tarpaulina.
我选择拍摄的场景呢，都是一些不具名字的地点，包括海岸线阳台停车场我把防水布放在海岸线呢，让它漂流呢，它永远处在一个又是在海上又是在陆地这样子反复之间的一种状态。我把它放在阳台，它有一部分是在户外的，有一部分是在室内的。把它放在停车场的虚线呢，它又向左又向右，向前又向后的一种 模糊的状态。
And so when I shoot these videos, I have chosen this sort of unknown or anonymous place, such as, you know, the coastal line, the car park, or just the porch, you know. And my idea is that when the video was shot at the coastal line, it gives the person the impression that it is floating on the ocean. At the same time, it's also next to the land. And when it is positioned in a car park, it could be, you know, going forward or backward, left or right. And if it's, you know, taken in a porch area, or, you know, it gives you the sense that this is in the boundary of, you know, outdoor and indoor. So basically, it's sort of, sorry, I used the word porch, probably balcony is a better description. And so it gives you that sense of ambiguity.
这些经过我不断涂改没有用的地图呢，它最后又好像有点矛盾了，又回到去我把它可以带去户外，可以携带，这个也很像地图的用途。
And also, you know, as we have said that once the map has been painted or have been changed, becomes a useless map. And so in a way, it is a contradiction that, you know, I have taken this map outdoors and displayed them as if it is a, you know, useful map.
最后呢，就是这个作品的尺寸呢，这个防水布 doubling 的宽度呢，刚好就是我开的车子的可以容纳的这个尺寸，我把它到处移动。
Also, you know, the size of the tarpaulin is the same size as my car, so that I can, you know, drive it as a portable object and move it everywhere.
You mentioned before the occupation as a subject of your maps. It's also interesting to see it in your banknotes as well, going from the different currency that's been used in Malaysia or Malaya before it, under the British, under the Japanese, and since independence. It's also fascinating to see the use of tape to construct these things, make them look like they're falling apart. The choice of materials and subject matter, I think, is really interesting in these works. I wanted to learn a bit more about it.
对哈，就是还有呢，我们就讲到这个银行的这个货币就是这一部分哈，这个纸币这一部分哈，也是一个很有趣的话题哈，因为我们今天时间不多了哈，所以我想了解一下您这一方面的这个作品哈，您使用的是马来亚在这个不同的这个统治时期哈，比如说在英政府统治时期、日治时期，还有独立以后哈，不同时期的这些不同的货币哈，然后用这个粘纸的方式哈，把它们进行一个处理哈，感觉到就是好像它们快要掉下来了，这种感觉哈。那么在你这个选择材料和主题这方面哈我感觉到很有趣，想了解一下您的想法哈。
那这一次的参加 Asia Pacific Triennial 的时候呢，我总共有3张的纸钞作品其中有一张呢叫做 Banana Money 它是我小时候呢父母亲经常提起的一段历史，就是2战时期呢，日本占领马来西亚，大概在1941年到1945年的时候所使用的纸钞。
Yes, I have 3 pieces of work that related to banknotes in this APC exhibition. So one of the banknotes is called a banana note, which was mentioned to me by my parents when I was a kid. This note was used during the Second World War, during 1941 to 1945. this was, the period my parents been mentioning to us the history for during this period.
我使用胶纸把它制作成钞票呢，主要是对它的价值呢重新思考。一般上呢旧的纸钞在收藏的市场上呢是越来越有价值的，但在我的作品里面呢，就好像不稳定的一种状态。
And I have chosen to use tapes to, put on the currency because I want to rethink this concept of value of notes. And as we know that all notes usually appreciate in terms of value over time. And I would like to reflect the state of instability of currencies in my work.
用胶纸拼贴在这个画布上的时候呢，它有了一个概念，就是方法叫做 cut and paste， 就是我把它粘在画布上，然后进行切割，然后各出我需要的形象。这个方法呢，它非常像我喜欢的一种绘制艺术的方法，叫木刻版画。
And I have used this tape to work on, to put the work together on the canvas. So the technique I used is like a cut and paste method. So I will paste it onto the canvas, and then I cut it out the way I like it to be, which is similar to a method I used in terms of making like a woodcut picture.
像这张本拿纳曼尼呢，在我们的马来西亚语境里面呢，常常等于是一个比喻成不值钱的货币或者某件东西它不值钱。
And in Malaysia, we often use the word banana money to describe something that is worthless.
对，这是因为在日本占领马来亚3年08个月的时候呢，他们大量的印刷这个钞票，还有他们在外国的战争节节败退，让那个价值不停的下滑，后来变得一文不值。
And in terms of the history of banana money, it was during the Japanese occupation, which lasted for 3 years and 8 months. They had printed a lot of notes, but because with them losing the war in foreign countries, one after the other, their note has depreciated significantly, becoming, a piece of worthless paper.
这一张10元的纸钞呢，我把它改编成79元纸钞呢，是因为这张本拿纳曼尼作品呢，它像一个移动的纪念碑，它在让我们回望2战时期，在日本占领马来西亚开始，它是1941年12月8日开始的，所以刚好跟我制作的年份呢变成了79。
就是跟你制作的年份刚好是相差79年，对吧？
对。
And I have chosen this $10 note to commemorate the changes that has taken over time, over the last 79 years. It's almost like the banana money is almost like a portable memorial, that reminds people of that history of Japanese occupation of Malaya, because the war started on the 8th of December 1941, which was exactly 79 years ago from the date of my work.
最后呢，虽然这张橡胶钱是比喻 不值钱的货币哦。但这个作品在 Asia Pacific Triennial 开幕后没多久，没几天呢，它就80了，就80年了，它就升值了1元。
是，and 升值了1元，就是1块钱哈。
就总共是80了
哦，
啊，
就变成OK
就是说啊，它增值了啊。
OK. Lastly, I would like to say that although we use the term banana money as a metaphor for worthless notes, I've taken note that a few days after the APT exhibition, $10 note that has been changed by me into a $79 notes to commemorate the 79th anniversary has actually increased, appreciated by $1 because it's the 80th. It becomes $80 because it was the 所以就变成80周年了，是吗？
是的。
Because of the day of the exhibition, it turns 80th anniversary instead.
There's one work that you've included that I think is particularly relevant for the context of a relationship between Australia and Malaysia, and that is the currency note for the Cocos Keeling Islands.
然后呢，就是您在这一个澳大利亚跟马来西亚之间的关系里面哈，你也使用了一张货币哈，是这个 Cocos Keeling Island 哈，他们的这一个货币哈。
And this is of course Australian external territory now.
因为这个岛是澳大利亚的这个海外的岛屿哈。
对，这一次我参加展览的时候呢，我想一些作品呢和 Australia 澳大利亚有一些联系，所以我就其中一张选择了这个 Cocos Keeling Island 的这个钞票。
That's correct, because of this exhibition. So I would like to, link my work to Australia. So I have chosen Cocos Keeling Islands note for this exhibition.
这张作品的图像来源呢，来自于1902年 Cocos Keeling Island 的钞票啊。每一张钞票呢，对我来说呢，都有它自己的故事或者历史。
And the picture I have chosen came from Cocos Keeling Islands note in 1902. So for me, each currency has, its own history and its own story behind it.
在这个纸钞在它那个年代还通用的时候呢，它的价值呢是固定不变的。当我把它纸钞变成艺术创作的时候呢，它的价值呢就变得多样化了。
And as we know that, when a note is in circulation at that time, it has a fixed value attached to it. But now I have turned it into part of artwork, and therefore its value has changed and become varied.
我感兴趣的是这些岛屿的居民，他们都是外来的人口有一部分是来自于马来亚。有一些是槟城，有一些是马六甲，但他们一留保留了一些马来西亚马来人的文化还有语言。
It's interesting that in the island there are also people coming, outside of the country, such as people from Malaya, people from Penang, and people from Malacca, and therefore the island has kept some of the language and cultures of these external inhabitants from another country.
让我倍感亲切的这个马来西亚艺术家，是因为这些外来者的离乡背景，他们还保留和故乡的一些连结，也让我看到了澳大利亚 Australia 跟马来西亚之间的微妙的一些连结。
when looking at the note, I have developed a sense of endearment because, these people coming, leaving their hometown to come to a new island, but however, they are still trying to maintain a certain link with their home country. So from these notes, I can see a subtle relationship, between Malaysia and Australia.
最后呢，当地的居民他们这个迁徙的历史呢，也让我想起了自己家族的历史啊，就是祖父辈从中国移民过来，在不同的国度落地生根，但又保留了自己的文化。
Last but not least, I can also see that how migrants, in the local population live their lives, how they move from one country to the other, just, has reminded me of my grandpa who migrated from China to Malaysia. And arriving at a new country and took their route there while maintaining their home country's culture.
At a similar time to installing the work for APT, you showed an exhibition of similar banknotes in Kuala Lumpur. One of the things that I thought was very interesting about that exhibition was the very unusual way that you organized it. You made it look like an art fair, which I suppose speaks to the commodity nature of the work. But you also made reference to how you use different identities when you're developing exhibitions. And I like these playful, parodic elements of your practice as well. So beyond the work, the way that you present it seems to be an extension of this attitude in your practice.
对哈，就是那么差不多是在你参加 APT 这个展览的这个同时哈，您在吉隆坡哈也进行了一个相似的这个货币方面的作品的这个展览哈，那一个展览的话呢，它使用一种不常见的方式哈，感觉有点像一个一个就是一个展览会，不过一个好像市场的这样子的艺术品的这种市场这样子的感觉哈。那么当然就是这个首先来说呢，就是表现的就是货币的这一种作为一个一个有值的哈这个商品的这样的一种本质哈，那么同时呢，你在这个展览里面也使用了不同的这些身份哈，不同的这些分身哈。那么我很喜欢您的这一个这一种展示的方式里面的这一种采用一种比较多样化玩耍不是非常认真的这一种态度哈，
这个展览我大概在2019年已经有这个想法，但随着疫情呢推到3个月才完成啊。我一开始打算的就是展出12张钞票在展览厅里面。
Yes, I actually had this idea back in 2019, but because of COVID, it sort of didn't finish until sort of last month. And initially, the idea I had was to, exhibit the 12 notes, in a exhibition hall.
对的，但我这几年下来呢，我自己本身呢又对展览非常感兴趣。我认为展览也是我的创作材料，我可以为展览的展示方式有更多样化的表现，尤其是在我的个展里面。
Over the last few years, I have developed more and more interest in this area that I can use a different way to present these ideas, especially when it comes to my personal exhibition.
那这12张的钞票绘画作品呢，它在展出完之后呢，它的结果大概是几种就是被收藏在美术馆或者 收藏家的家里，第二呢就是在我的工作室。
At the end of an exhibition, the destiny for these 12 notes would usually be either, that they end up at a arts gallery or, a collector's home, or it can go back to my studio.
所以在他们这12张作品还在一个展厅里面的时候呢，我想给他一个特殊的一个形式展出，于是呢，我就开始设计，把展厅变成有4个摊位，我们称它为 booth， 它很像 Art Fair 艺术博览会里面的那个结构。我把这12张钞票作品安排在4个 booth 里面。
While the 12 pieces of work are still in the gallery, I would like to make them look a little bit more special by designing 4 booths and then put them in these 4 booths, make it like an art fair.
这样子的设计跟我当初只是为了要展出12张的 banknote 呢，它的含义又更加的不一样了。banknote 放在墙上呢，它就是我个人对马来亚或者马来西亚的历史或钞票的变动。当它挂在 booth 上面呢，它的语境又变得更加不一样了。它更加能回应我对当代展示方式的一种兴趣。
In terms of displaying the 12 notes on the wall, which reflects my ideas of the change of currencies and the Malaysian history, putting them in a booth is a bit different. So it's sort of back to the interest I have in how I arrange my work in an exhibition.
如果我们在阿费艺术博览会里面看到去参观的时候呢，它其实很像一个迷宫，因为它有很多的 booth 而 booth 与 booth 之间的这些摊位呢是没有任何关系的，因为它是代表着不同的画廊但在我的个展里面呢，它们是有一个很直接的关系。
And when you go to a art fair, you have the different booths, which is a little bit like a labyrinth, and different booths are not related to each other because the works are say from different art galleries. But in my personal exhibition, the work between the booths are directly related.
最后可以分享的就是这个作品，除了探讨我对纸钞的价值历史的兴趣之外呢，我也想要回应用这种这个我创造的这个 booth 的展示方式呢，也回应了当代这几年下来非常流行的这个我称之为 C structure 的这个 booth 的一种展示方式。无论艺术家喜不喜欢，但这个C structure呢，我觉得还对艺术家影响蛮大的。
你说的这个叫做 C structure 是吧 ？C 是座位吗？
对，那个 ABC 的 C 就是这样子的一个造型，它就是那个 booth 的基本结构。
谢谢。Yes, and last but not least, I would like to share with you that apart from my interest in the currency value as well as the history, the way that I use the booth concept to exhibit my work is also reflects the C structure that has become popular over the last few years. Whether we as artists like it or not has great impact on how works are displayed.
That's a great point. I think that's a great spot to leave the conversation. I know we could keep talking for hours, but you've already given us plenty to think about. Thank you so much, Kim Chiew, for your contribution and congratulations on your work for the exhibition. Thank you also to Mei Chen for your interpreting. It's been very, very helpful. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. 这
Thank
个
you.
对哈，所以非常感谢你哈，这个今天给我们这么多时间哈，那么我们今天就谈到这里哈。您刚才讲的很多东西哈，留下了我们很多思考的这个空间哈。祝贺你在这个展会取得这样的这个成功哈。
谢谢，谢谢 ，Thank you Reuben，Thank you May。